Michael, welcome.
Yeah.
What's been the big takeaway for you?
Well, the big takeaway from the American standpoint is while India celebrates the consensus on the statement of the G20, from the United States standpoint, I'm sure the White House would have wanted more direct criticism of Russia with regard to Ukraine. The other takeaway I have is with regard how the Indian presidency of the G20 has really built confidence in the global South and really showed that Prime Minister Modi is sincere in his efforts to reach out to Africa, which from an American strategic standpoint, I think is very important. If we're not going to compete with China and Africa, I sure as heck hope India will, because India is the country of the future. Modi has shown that, the slogan, one earth, one family, one future, is sincere. I think India has a lot to be proud of in its stewardship of the G20 meeting.
Michael Rubin, spend a moment on this infrastructure project between India, the Middle East and Europe. $200 billion, any ideas that you have about where this money is coming from and the utility that you think this project could serve as a counter to China's Belt and Road Initiative?
Well, even though it doesn't get enough attention in the United States, what India really did with the port of Haifa, I think, is worth highlighting, where India really made an end run around China in that port of Haifa. India is on the precipice of basically defining the 21st century economically. China has been its own worst enemy with some of its actions. India has been reforming and building up its supply chains, and it needs the markets. And the world is hungry for Indian goods, especially since people can no longer rely on China and to a lesser extent Russia. India is filling the gap. More power to them. And this infrastructure rail tanker project across the Middle East into Europe is to everyone's benefit.
Can you try and explain to our viewers how this is different from the BRI, given that the BRI ended up leaving so many countries in Africa and elsewhere deeply indebted? How is the financing of these projects going to be different?
Well, let me put it this way. When it came to the Belt and Road Initiative, it was parasitic from the start. And what we saw in Sri Lanka showed what China's true intentions was. I think when it comes to India, there's a belief that this can be symbiotic, that the investment goes both ways and builds up the local economies as well, which is why people are enthusiastic for a partnership with India. I just came back from Africa, from Congo, and earlier from the Central African Republic. And people said that when China invests there, Chinese workers come in their own compounds. Nothing is left for the local economies. India's brand is quite different there.
Okay, I'm kind of wondering where Joe Biden is and why he hasn't come so far. The guests who are running late. This is state. Can we try and get Geeta Mohan on the line? Maybe she's speaking to people at the US Embassy. We'll try and get some information, because at a certain point in time, this dinner will get over. I mean, they would have gone through. You've got the Prime Minister and the President waiting, which is possibly why the Italian Prime Minister didn't get as warm a welcome as she did in the morning. She's running late.
Possible. But
was... it's true. You come so late to somebody's
not
party.
Very happy.
They're going to be hungry and they're like, okay, get on with it. Come on time, please. We got food to eat.
Yeah, and as per the protocol, the Prime Minister and the President can't do anything else but wait there for the leaders to arrive, because they are India's guests. So
I've actually never seen this. We've been to a few of these do's at the White House and elsewhere. People usually come on time. So I am not certain at this moment what's going on.
But could there be a reason for this, Rahul? Maybe they're spacing it out like Navdeep Suri said.
But that's a
sequencing.
That's a big space.
Yeah, it's been a good. It was about 15 minutes, I think, between between Rishi Sunak and his wife and Meloni. So we're going to have to see how much longer it takes before the next person arrives. Like you said, the Turkish
President, only natural that they'll
Biden,
be hungry and wanting to go in. I mean, they're the hosts. They're not getting.
Well, it's 8:30. I mean, unless jet lag accounts for something, but then all of these leaders know how to beat it on their long flights, so they should be arriving very, very shortly. So Joe Biden. Okay, there
he is. Joe Biden. Finally.
He's arrived.
He's here. Prime Minister Modi going to receive the American president. There he is. President Joe Biden meeting India's President Draupadi Murmu. President Biden's been a great friend of India and an ally to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Okay, he, despite being late, will get a nice initiation, a warm welcome, and he's really helped push through this infrastructure initiative as well. Okay, so before the Prime Minister gives the tour, Joe Biden's got something to say to him. And just the fact that we've been able to come up with the kind of outcomes that we have, make no mistake, America has had a role to play. Now, Prime Minister Modi doing the full G20 Nalanda tour with President Biden, explaining the context and the background of Nalanda University. Oh, he's going in and just taking it one notch beyond what everybody else did. He wants to know more, Shiv.
He's getting the 100% Nalanda tour.
And also, think of how deeply thought through this is. Just the fact that you're trying to, like the Chinese did for a long time,
incredible message.
Keep harking back to their civilization when they were way ahead of the rest of the world, trying to bring that out. President Biden, he had some Patel wine at the White House. An Indian sommelier doing some interesting Californian wines. That was at the White House. No wine here at this state banquet. But President Biden's finally arrived at the dinner.
Rahul, we just saw the Prime Minister and the President accompanying Biden away
they went in together.
Which
means they're not waiting up for the rest.
Are they not waiting for the rest, or is it because of President Biden's age and seniority, just a show of respect? Not really sure how that works, but there are still some leaders to arrive, but they've just walked off.
If you come later than this, then sure, you're welcome.
Go straight to the dinner. Go straight to the dinner.
We'll see you at the table. We don't know yet, okay? So listen, we don't know yet. We just saw the Prime Minister and President Murmu walk in. So whether they'll come back to get the other guests or are the other guests coming at all, we just at this moment.
They'll probably be there. I think they'll probably be there. I have a feeling it was just a token.
No, but they should have showed up by now, right?
Yeah.
It's 8:35.
Yeah.
So they should have really come by now. So at this second, we don't know whether they're coming. We just saw the Prime Minister and the President walk in. But this could well have been just to escort President Biden. He always gets that little bit extra. The maximum warmth is towards Rishi Sunak and towards Akshata. But the maximum respect and regard is for Joe Biden, President of the United States, suggesting and signifying the depth and the importance of the relationship between Delhi and DC.
And they're holding hands. Look at that, Rahul. While they're standing there, Prime Minister Modi and President Biden were holding hands, and there he goes towards the screen with the Nalanda image. Speaks to him a little bit more, and then they walk aside. So very, very important. All the little things. Holding hands, puts his hand on his shoulder as well. Very, very interesting. I think the Prime Minister has that deference for the President's age. Just like he, appeared to be like an indulgent and elder for Rishi Sunak and his wife, both the Desi youngsters, as it were. But a lot of warmth in both these very important
and also the most genuine, tangible outcomes. The fact that we're getting Predator drones from the United States, the fact that there is a transfer of technology in the GE jet engine 414 deal.
Huge.
Those are, just imagine what it would have taken for DC to convince a company like GE, a global multinational corporation, to part with its technology. Typically, MNCs wouldn't want to do that. So to, ensure that the pieces are lined up on the chessboard in a way that that kind of a transfer happens requires significant political heavy lifting. And Prime Minister Modi had a good equation with Donald Trump. It was feared that maybe with the Democrat Biden coming in, with Kamala Harris as his vice president, it may not be the same, but it's been more than wonderful in terms of the actual genuine takeaways that both these leaders have been able to deliver.
Major takeaways, Rahul, from their bilateral. You saw the long joint statement that both sides issued, and since you talked about how difficult it is to, clear things, I remember reporting about the nuclear suppliers group, the 123 agreement, civil nuclear deal between India and the United States that was pushed through during George W. Bush's time. The Predator deal is no less complicated than that. This is technology that the United States does not share with anyone.
We don't know at this moment. These are called HALE, okay? High altitude, long endurance. You really need these Predator drones because to take on China, to take on Pakistan, especially China, you need these high altitude drones. What we don't know, because we haven't seen the minutiae, is the element of transfer of technology. I've heard that there will be an element of transfer of technology. We just haven't seen that fleshed out at this moment. But the fact that we're getting these drones by themselves is significant.
It's very significant.
Did they just turn the video off? So they're saying like there's no more video footage coming? I think they just had that plate out, which kind of signified that that's it. Now they're going to be doing dinner.
Looked like it, but few of the leaders haven't arrived unless they've already arrived and the cameras haven't captured it, which is highly unlikely.
That can't be.
Highly unlikely.
And you and I haven't been sleeping.
Yeah,
so
we've been watching the whole thing.
Yeah, we couldn't have
Live.
missed anyone. And we're getting so much commentary, whether
Okay,
it's
we're
on
told
Twitter
that
or on
that
messages.
live feed has ended, but I think there may be a fresh feed coming in. So we're just going to wait for that. These are images from just a few moments ago with President Biden. And Rahul, also 5G, 6G technology, civil nuclear technology, all of those things in that agreement are absolutely huge. I mean, the United States affirming once again that it sees India as a stabilizing force. And like you said, the big takeaways from day one of the G20 under India's leadership, but very much also thanks to the kind of partnership that India and the United States have forged over the last few years.